everybody, Sean from Movie Assault here, and it is time for my third installment into my Classic Movie Month series. And I don't know if I'm going to do just an entire month. I might do this all summer. I don't know. But anyway, I've been putting up movies for you guys to vote on and choose out of my unwatched pile behind me of movies that are considered classics and that I haven't seen and that I'm trying to get some exposure to because I really should have seen them. And this week, you guys chose The Searchers with John Wayne, which is part of this collection. And it is the only movie in this collection that I hadn't seen. So thank you for allowing me to complete this triple feature set. The Searchers was made in 1955, released in 1956. Stars John Wayne, of course. Also stars Jeffrey Hunter, Vera Miles, Ward Bond, Natalie Wood, and Henry Brandon. And I bring Henry Brandon up because he was in The Land Unknown, and I have to connect every movie I can to The Land Unknown. Just kidding. But he plays a very important Native American character in this movie. Of course, he's of German descent, and that's one of the problematic things about this movie, but I'll get to that. John Wayne plays Ethan Edwards, a Confederate soldier who has returned from the Civil War. He goes to his brother's place out in Monument Valley, although they never really call it Monument Valley. They just say it's Texas. And I won't get into the events of how it happens, but what happens is the Native American tribe, Comanches, actually come in and raid his brother's ranch and kill some of his family and take Ethan's niece hostage. And Ethan, along with the niece's brother, Martin Pauly, played by Jeffrey Hunter, go on what amounts to a years-long quest to try and find the niece, or Martin's sister. I don't want to delve too much into the plot of this because I went in without knowing anything about the plot. I just knew that this was considered one of the greatest Westerns of all time. I should probably say one of the greatest American Westerns of all time. I am very undereducated, for lack of a better word, on the Western genre. I have seen quite a few Westerns, but I am nowhere near as literate in the Western genre as I am in, say, horror or sci-fi or even comedy or action or things like that. The Western genre is sort of a blind spot in my film collection, in my film experience. So I'm not qualified to say anything is the greatest Western of all time, but I will say I did like Once Upon a Time in the West a little more than this film, but that's, it's not an American Western. So is that apples and oranges? I'll leave that up to people who are more qualified about the Western genre to decide. But I will say that in terms of American Westerns, John Wayne, of course, is one of the superstars of the genre. And he definitely delivers one of his best performances, at least that I've ever seen in this movie. It's a darker role for him. This is more of a psychological role. Definitely breaks the stereotype that you always hear that John Wayne never plays anybody but John Wayne when he's in his films. That's definitely not true here. He is a character that gets a little more crazed as the film goes on. He's not a villain, but he plays sort of a villainous type. His performance is pretty surprising, and it is really solid. It's very good. So I really enjoyed him in this movie. I am not a fan of John Wayne the person, but I did really enjoy his performance in this movie and in this role of Ethan Edwards. Visually, this film is fantastic. It was directed by John Ford, and John Ford is well known as a director. Again, one of my blind spots in my viewing history. I have only seen one other John Ford film, which was Prisoner of Shark Island, which I believe was made in the 30s. I can't remember what year it was made. I'll put the year below when I go and look it up, because I can't remember what year it was made. But I do remember that having very strong opinions about the North and the South, in terms of the Civil War that took place during or right after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. It deals with Dr. Mudd, and his being implicated in helping the assassin John Wilkes Booth, and being put in prison and escaping and whatnot. There are definite opinions about the South and the North in The Searchers as well. There's definitely some racism in this film, some intentional, some not. I think some of it is a byproduct of the time in which it was made, and I think this movie does overall have an anti-racist message, but I think it had to be delivered in sort of a softened way to an audience that was probably used to the typical cowboys and Indians shoot 'em up type Western. So it's pretty subtle. There's a lot of subtle things to this film. But I was getting into the visuals. The Monument Valley backgrounds in this film are just spectacular. The way that the cinematography just highlights Monument Valley and the Western landscape is just unbelievable. It was filmed in what was called VistaVision, and I'm not 100% sure what VistaVision was. I think it was some sort of 3-panel screen setup. Clearly, it's not something I can recreate at home, but it did on my 65-inch TV. It filled up the entire frame. There was no letterboxing of this on the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray looked amazing. But being filmed in VistaVision, I noticed that there was an extreme clarity all over the image. And John Ford's direction was interesting in that the camera didn't move a lot in certain scenes that we would typically think were busy. So there would be a scene with people left to right, entire screen, and something was going on all over the screen, but the camera didn't move, but yet visually you could follow the action as things were happening. Or sometimes there'd be maybe 3 or 4 people in the scene, and you could watch one person on the left and see what they were doing, and then something would be happening in the background and you could see what they were doing. And there was a lot of things that were just implied or very subtle. I'll give one away. The dynamic between Aunt Martha and Ethan at the beginning of the film. You can tell there's something going on between them, sort of an unresolved romantic relationship, just by the way they interact with each other. Nothing is said about it in the script. Nothing is said out loud between the two characters. It's just the way they interact with each other. There's a lot of that throughout the entire film, and I think that speaks volumes to the direction and the cinematography, and just the way the film is set up and blocked and marked and whatever. All the film terminology that I'm probably misusing. But just, this may not be my favorite Western, but it was really interesting to watch, really entertaining. It had me enthralled from beginning to end. So I can't say anything really bad about it other than, the racist stuff that comes just from, the point of view that I'm viewing it in this point in time, 2025, watching a movie that was made in 1956. So even though it has this anti-racial message in it, it's still sort of softened, and I can't count that against the film because this is a film, a product of its time. But John Ford's filmmaking, John Wayne's acting, Jeffrey Hunter is fantastic in this. Vera Miles as Lori Jorgensen, who is Jeffrey Hunter's sort of love interest. She's hilarious in this in sort of an understated way. There is a character in here named Mose, and I can't remember the name of the actor who plays him. He is also really good. I'll put his name below. He is hilarious. There's a lot of really sort of comic undertones to this film that I think are really funny. By no means is this a comedy, but there's a lot of comic relief in the film. And I just think it was very warranted because there's a lot of dark subtext to this film. Some of it not subtext, some of it is right in your face, a lot of it being with John Wayne. So at first glance, I know this is a movie that people have heaped praise on for 50 plus years, coming up on 60 plus years, or 70 plus years. Jesus, my math is terrible. But it is definitely worth watching at least once. I will probably watch it again at some point. But yeah, I have a real appreciation for it now. I understand why it is so well liked, and I appreciate the influence it's had on films that have come after it, especially with the techniques that John Ford has used. I can't pick out specific examples of things that I've seen that were influenced by it, but I'm sure I've seen numerous things that were influenced by it that I can't even recall by name. But just an amazing film visually. And like I said, I'm not a particularly huge fan of John Wayne the person, but John Wayne the actor definitely delivers a performance in this film that is well worth seeing. So for no other reason, see The Searchers for that, and then stay for the fantastic visuals, cinematography, and direction by John Ford. And the music is actually pretty decent too, so stay for that. So there you go. That's my review of The Searchers. I would give it an 8 out of 10. And we'll see what you guys pick for me for next week. The poll is up on my channel. So I think I have Slumdog Millionaire, Night of the Hunter, and one other film that I can't remember off the top of my head. So go check out the poll and pick for me a new film to watch next weekend. So thanks again for watching, everybody. As always, take it easy. Bye.